So we are going to be looking into various type of data types, and it's very important that you guys have a very sound understanding of it. Now, last week we started quite casually. We looked into numbers, and now we're going to look into strings today and carry on as much as we can, try to see how much we can cover. Okay, so we're going to look into strings. In other words, text basically, yeah. But using the word text is not really professional when you're, discussing Python. So let's just call them a string. So they are ordered sequences, so we can index them or slice them. But what does that all mean? So if I say A equals oh, okay. Can you hear me now? Let me just see. Can you hear me? Is okay. I have no idea how did I mute myself, but that was amazing. I don't know what happened, but thanks for notifying me. Excellent. Okay, so we're going to be looking into strings, okay, which are ordered sequences, and we're going to see how we can index them. So let's say I'm going to assign the word South Bank here, just as in the slide, to A, basically. Okay, so A now basically equals South Bank. Now, actually, that's not right. So let me just bring it back. All right, so A. Now, if I call type A, it would tell me that it's a string. Okay, so it's type a string. Okay, now when you do indexing, remember in Python, the location of objects or no, let's make it simple. Numbers, when you want to count, like usually when you count your fingers, you start from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. In Python, you need to think the other way. You start with position 0. So if you want to count your fingers, you don't say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You say 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's very important. So let's say in Python, the numbers start with 0. Okay, so what does that mean? Now, let's say I want to catch the first item, yeah, the first item in the string A. So if I say A, bracket, the first item. So by default, you would think that if you say A1, this should return S to you. Let's see what does it return to us. Okay, it actually returns O and not S. The reason for that is it's structured such that S is at position 0. Just remember, when you're in Python and you want to count your fingers, you start with 0. Okay, you don't start with 1. Okay, so here, position 0 is where S is. Position 1 is where O is, and position 2 is U, and so on and so forth. Okay, and remember, this gap, this space, is also allocated, it's defined within the memory. So it has its own position as well. So if I say position, if I want S, I would be like position A0. Now it would give me S. This is very important that you have a good grasp of this. And if I want to say the last position, I would be like A, position 9, and it should give me K. Okay. There is also a way of doing this where when you're going backward, yeah, you can say A minus 1, and it would be K. So if you want to go the other way around and identify and pick out one of the items in that string. Okay. We just all right. I hope that is clear. So the video is here as well, but I expect you to later on, practice with this. But because I don't want to spend too much time on this, I try to fly over this. But I hope you understand the idea of when you try to index, it would be the same when we try to index with lists and tuples as we, cover them. So I just want you to definitely remember 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. The vault does not start with 1, okay, when you count the numbers. It starts with 0. Very, very, very important, yeah, that this you get well aligned with this, okay? Now, let's say we want to pick part of this. So again, I'm going to say A. Let's call it, what was A? It was South Bank, this string, okay? Let's say we want to cut a chunk of this, okay? We just want to get the south part, okay? We would be like doing A bracket, okay? This time, I'm going to say start from position 0 all the way to, so I just want the south. So I would be like 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So 4 should be H, yeah? So let's see what would it give us south, yeah? But we see that the H is not included, okay? So this really indicates from 0, from position 0 to position 4, okay? But not including 4. Again, I know, like, for those of you who have done Python before, of course, this is like, you know it. But for those of you who are new to it, it's very, very important because as we expand and we go into more complicated stuff, many of you would be finding this a little bit confusing. So I'm trying to emphasize the importance of this, yeah? That when you try to index, because what we are doing at the moment is indexing, okay? So when you try to index, it's important that you know that the last number you put is not included. Hence why we get in SOUT. And H, which is H is position 4, is not included. So if I want the whole south, I would be like A 0 to 5, okay? And then it would give me south. What if I wanted the bank part? What if I wanted the bank part? Then I would be doing A, okay? And I will start with position, bank position 6, yeah? From 6 all the way to the end, yeah? Now, what is the end position? 9, okay? So let's see if that happens. Again, we are missing the K. Can I do position 10? Let's see what happens if I do that. Now I'm getting K, so it includes it. Although there is no position 10, but that's fine, okay? All right. Now, there is another way of writing this. There is another way of writing this. So if I say A, bracket, and I'm not going to say from 0, I'm just going to say 5. Do you see? So by default, even if I don't put anything here, it would assume that I'm starting from position 0. So a quick way of writing as you become more professional and you try to do things. If you want to say from beginning, so technically this means from beginning to position 5. All right, guys, can you mute your speaker, please, when you speak? Okay. So that's what this means. And also, if I do A bracket from position 6, and I just leave it like that, yeah? So this means from your chosen position till the end, okay? Again, when you want to go all the way to the end and you're not bothered about what position, you can just leave it blank, empty, all right? Very important stuff for you to become comfortable, right from now. And also, you can go at the steps, yeah? So what if I say from A, okay? I'm going to say A from, let's start from just the beginning all the way to the end, okay? Just check this out, yeah? So I'm not going to say, and it might confuse you. Let's just say to 5, yeah? To position 5. And then I'm going to add another number, okay? Using the semicolon. SOUH. So what has it done? It's basically going, starting with S, start from beginning, going all the way to position 5, but at the steps of 2. So it's going to omit O and it's going to pick U because it's going 2 steps at a time, yeah, instead of 1 step at a time. So that 2 here is indicating the steps, okay? Of course, like if you want to do 3, you can do 3, depending on how long and how much sort of character or item basically is there. Would it work like this? If I say, if this confuses you, I want you to think about it by considering what I taught you about here, you know, starting from beginning to a certain end, okay? So really, I'm saying from beginning to the end at 2 steps. How about from beginning to the end at 3 steps? Okay. Okay. So let me just. So it's STBK. It's going at 3 steps. Okay. If you're confused about this, definitely watch the video and try to practice until this sinks in. I can't emphasize on how important this is. Okay. This is really, really important that those of you who are new to Python to definitely have a good grasp of this. Would it be a strings we are trying to slice and index, or would it be, you know, a list or items in a tuple? Very important that you have a good grasp and understanding of this. All right. Now let's move forward. Let's do some printing now, because ultimately you need to be like when you run a machine learning model, maybe you want to give out a report on the calculations on the stuff. So let's learn the basic printing. So printing is just print. It means giving an output. Yeah. Print. Hello. I am teaching Python. Okay. So this would just output this string, you know. But remember, it's not the output of this. Just please note, the output is not a string. It's just reporting to you. Okay? Very important to understand that. All right? So you use the print function when you want to print something out. And there are some techniques that if you want to like print and sort of start on the next line, I've put this here. So let's just say, let's use the example in this slide. So I'm going to say print. I'm going to say hello mate. Yeah, just as I've done it there. Okay. So it would go and print hello mate all in one line. If I want to have the mate basically popping into the next line, I would be print. Okay. Again, these things you get to sort of become comfortable with them the more you try. So slash n, okay, and then look at the space between n and the next word, mate, okay. So it goes hello mate. What if I did this like that? So let me just repeat this. By the way, when you guys try to code, like if you in your practice time, especially if you're new, try to type it, don't copy paste. I know I just copy pasted, but for you to keep typing these, you know, it would better sort of sink in with you and, you know, get you more comfortable, you know, in terms of coding and remembering these codes. So I hope this makes sense what this n is doing. So it's popping it to the next line, and the space would enable you to sort of give an indentation in your reporting if you need it to be. All right. So that's important for you to learn. And as you can see, I've put another example here. You can put multiple number of these n's if you want to keep popping into the next line, basically. All right. Okay. So enough on that. Now, let me just see. So, you know, like strings are immutable, meaning that you cannot change them. So if you recall, we had A, okay, and A was South Bank. What if I want to change the first word to something else, like to B, let's say? So can I say, I mean, A position 0, it's S, okay? Can I change position A 0 and I come and say, okay, I'm going to assign it to letter B, what would happen? You end up getting an error. And please, whenever you get an error, I'd like you to become more in tune with this. Whenever you get an error, read this bit. Don't just say, oh, error, that's it. Oh, I don't know, like what happened. Try to read this. Look at the error type. It's not always very informative and clear, but it's really good that you try to explore it. So it says str object. Well, type A, we have done this before. Type A is a string object, okay? Because it's a string. It's the object does not support item assignment. In other words, it's trying to tell you that the strings are immutable. You cannot change them, right? Again, very important. You cannot change a string. So it's immutable. And let's see. So what if you want to create something? For example, let's take a look at this. What does this code mean? This is also like more sort of exercise and getting comfy with this. So I'm going to just repeat this and I want you to think about it. And also, please code along if you can. If you can't, just watch and then go and code along on your own time. Okay? So B equals A bracket from position 1 all the way to the end plus T. Okay? What is this trying to do? So when you see something like that, how about if we just do it like that? Okay? Let's first call A from position 1 all the way to the end. Okay? So it's going to be Aufbank. But then I've put plus T. And T itself is a string. Yeah? Remember, I haven't put plus T. T in this form is not a string. It's not even defined yet. So I'm putting it T as a string to convert it to a string. So if I do that and I call B, okay, you might be like, oh, Ali, didn't you say that you can't change this? Wait, I haven't changed A. Note, I did not change A. I am creating B from A via some slicing. Okay? Very important for you to understand that. Yeah? I did not really change A. If I call A, you will see that it's the same thing. Okay? It's South Bank. I created A by taking a slice of A and adding a T to it. Very, very important that you grasp this, what happened here. All right? Okay. Now, I have another thing here. So you remember we wanted to add B to the beginning of A, basically, yeah? Let's try it like that. Is B equals, I think we wanted to add B, but I've put T there. But anyway, let's say B. We're going to call it Baufbank, yeah? I mean, I know it doesn't make sense, but just for the practice. So A from position 1 to all the way to the end, okay? So now I've reassigned B. It's gonna, once I run this, it's gonna overwrite the previous B, okay? So maybe as a good practice, I'll just call it C. Okay, so what is C now? It became Baufbank. Again, I haven't altered A. Rather, I have used a slice of A, added B string to the top, and I've created C. All right? So definitely practice and make sure that you fully grasp and understand this. Okay, some actions with the strings. Okay, let's say we have, yeah, let's just use C for our example. So what is C now? C is Baufbank. Some of these actions are functions basically that you can apply to strings, and it basically makes your job easy if you need to, okay? It may not make sense at the moment why you would want to do this, but I want you to become familiar with these functions. So let's call some functions. The first we are going to do is upper, okay? So if I say C dot upper, the upper function converts all elements elements in the string to uppercase. Okay, C dot upper. Okay, is South Valve Bank now all capital. So if I call C, did you notice something? Very important, please pay attention. I did C dot upper, okay, it outputted a string which is now in capital. But if I call C again, it's in its original form. So this function applies and gives an output to you, but does not alter the original object, C, yeah? If you want to convert C into, if you want to make this permanent, what you need to do, so how do I make it permanent? Okay, the way you do it is that you're going to say C equals, yeah, C dot upper. Okay, in other words, you are reassigning, yeah, very important again, right? So now if I call C, it is indeed converted. So that's the upper. Now there is another one lower, okay, which obviously is going to return it back to its lower form. So if I see that lower function, and I mistyped it, again, but pay attention, it's not permanent, because if I say C, it's in its last form, which is capital letters. Again, if I want to do it permanently, I need to follow similar route. You can practice that on your own time. There is one function which is going to be very, very useful for you, okay? It's going to be very useful to you in future, and that's called the split function. So at the moment, C is Valve Bank, okay? I should have just left it to South Bank. But anyway, what if we want to separate these, you know, and return them as individual words within? You use the split function. So if I say C dot split, okay, it would output a list. Yeah, this is a list. Yeah, it would output a list where it would go and separate the items in C based on the empty space by default. Okay, so splitting the items in the string using the empty space. Right? Now, is C permanently affected? Of course not. C is what it was. But I'm going to reassign it. I'm going to call it D. D equals C dot split. Okay? Now, D is a new object we have formed. Now, what is D actually? Is this a string? Would you say D is a string? Not really. D, in fact, is a list. You see these brackets? We will get to lists shortly. So if I say type D, you see that D is a list. Now, D, what is in position 1? Okay, Valve. What is in position? Well, I shouldn't have said position 1, but position 0. D, position 1, meaning the second position, it's bank. Okay, so these are splitting as slicings. At the moment, might seem a bit vague. Yeah, you might be like, why are we doing this? I mean, what's the point of this? It's again, I have to keep saying this because later on you would appreciate this and understand how important these operations are. So at the moment, take it easy and just practice and know that you can do this. It's really important that you have a really good feel of what's happening here and how you do it. So it takes a lot of practice. I can send you some practice also files. I will do that. But definitely try to become really comfortable with this because it will be so, so important in the future. And let's just show you one last trick. If I was to tell you, okay, so D is a list of strings. So let me write this. So in fact, we created D, which is a list containing two strings. How did we do that? By using the split function applied on C and assigning D to the output of that function. Okay? 100%, so I would even say it here, please practice with this. So watch the video and definitely practice with it further. It's very important. With the split function, you can also choose where you want to split it. So you remember we went like C dot split. So by default, it would separate the two based on the empty space between them. Okay? Because C was what? C was this path bank and you had this empty. What if we want to split it at, let's say, U, so that it would go and split the string only at position U and it would take off U. So I can do, if I say C dot split, and I'm going to say U. Pay careful attention. I'm going to put lowercase u. What's going to happen? Nothing. Okay? You might be like, oh, why nothing happened? Well, because I didn't use a capital letter. In fact, this C string is composed of capital letters. So then you might be asking me, then why didn't it give me an error? Why it didn't give me an error? Well, because it's taking this argument in the split function and it goes and looks for it. If it doesn't find it, it doesn't do anything. Okay? It wouldn't generate an error because you haven't imposed an error on it. It just goes and looks for a lowercase u. If it finds it, it will split this. If it doesn't find it, then it just leaves it alone. So if I go and say c.split u, now it's going to be different. Okay? It has now split it into two sections, but remember, and that gap is also included. All right? Very, very important, guys. I keep emphasizing on this to become very comfortable with these functions. This is splitting and this is slicing. All right. There are two types of printing statements that I'd like you to do. Let's look at printing options. And I should put that. Okay. There are two types of printing stuff. There are two formats, and you need to learn both. But over time, you will realize that you become more comfortable with one or the other. Okay. I won't spend too much time on them. I will just show them to you once. But if you look at this text here, I've written my name is curly bracket, and I teach curly bracket at curly bracket to curly bracket students. Then, so this is a string, right? This itself is a string. But then after the string, I have used the dot format function. Okay, so in a sense, the structure is like this. I'm giving some string, okay? Then I'm calling the dot format function on it, and I put here, I put the arguments. Here, I put the arguments or elements, let's say, yeah? Let's just, the elements that I like to fill the locations within the string. Okay, that's the structure I'm doing. But which locations? The locations which are highlighted by a curly bracket. Of course, this is a really wrong way of writing this, but I wanted you to understand the concept. So if I get rid of that now, okay, and we're going to just try with this one. So I'm going to say my name is Ali, okay? No, my name is Ali, and I teach. I hope some of you are shouting at me for the mistake that I'm making. Can you hear me? I think somebody's muting me by mistake. Is that okay? Yeah, yeah. I think someone by mistake, I need to change these settings later. Probably somebody just moves their mouse and mutes me. Very naughty. Don't do that. Okay. So going back to it, guys, turn off your video, please. Yeah. So my name is curly bracket and I teach curly bracket. Okay. Dot format. Okay. And I'm going to put the arguments here. And I'm going to say my name is Ali and I teach Python. Okay. It just is a shorter version of what I have on the slide. What do I get, guys? I get an error. Oopsie daisy. What happened? But the fact is, the dot format function, why did I get an error? Think about why I got error. So the answer is, let me just go on here. The answer is absolutely, it was not a string. My name is that, it's not a string. It's not even anything at the moment. Yeah. So it's giving me an error, type error, syntax error. Syntax error means that you're making something fundamental, some fundamental mistake with the way you write in your code. Yeah. So in reality, what I should be putting, again, I shouldn't be, well, you shouldn't be copy pasting, but now I'm going to convert it to a string. Okay. Now this is a string. And now the dot format function applies. So let's run it. My name is Daniel and I teach Python. Can I put, I don't know, my age here or my favorite color, let's say, yeah? Blue. How about that? Again, I always tell people not to do this, and I did it. So let's leave this here. Copy this and go to a new cell so you have it for your record. All right. My name is Ali and I teach for MatPython, okay? Let's just say I like to put my favorite color as well. Let's say black. All right. What am I going to get if I run this? My name is Ali and I teach Python. Well, what happened to the black? The fact is, I did not allocate a space for it to be imported here. Okay. Now, if I was to do, and if I say my favorite color is, okay, how about that? Nothing happened. Why? Important to put the curly bracket. So now I put the curly bracket and I get, you see this is, you need to give the a space, yeah? So if I run it now, my name is Ali and I teach Python. My favorite color is black. Now, where does this become important, guys? You might be like, well, I could have just put print, you know, my name is Ali, I teach Python and blah, blah, blah. The fact is, imagine you run a machine learning model and the values here are numbers being generated through your model. And at the end, your model wants to give a report. For example, saying model number blah, blah has been run. The regression value for this was such and such. Yeah. That's where this comes important. Yeah. So again, if this is the first time you're doing Python with this, I know it might sound like, what's the point? I mean, like, couldn't I just print this whole thing? I want you to learn this, learn the technique at the moment, understand what is happening. It's really important you just understand what's happening. So practice with this, practice a lot, just create your own words, you know, write a poem or I don't know, write a sentence and try to fill it until you sort of become comfortable with this. Okay. Also, as you can see from this slide here, I've put these numbers. Okay. I've put the beautiful number 2, 0, 1, and 4 and 3 in this line here, line 62. So you can, if you don't want to put these in a particular order, provided that you have their location number, you can do this by putting those number allocated to their position into these curly brackets. But I'll leave that again to you to sort of save time so we can move forward with more stuff, okay? But please try to practice and become familiar with this. So this is the dot format method of printing stuff, okay? Let me see if yeah, I think it's good if I show you this as well. All right, let's look into dot format a bit more extended. Yeah, so we have these numbers. All right, so we're gonna say we're gonna create a number. Number equals 6 divided by 802 to be similar to this slide. Okay, so what is num? It's a very large number, yeah, but not large number in terms of its value, but a lot of digits are involved in this floating number. Let's just double check or sort of, what is type num? It's float. You will realize, especially in deep learning section, how important it is when numbers are float or integer. But at the moment, don't worry about it. So just type num float. It means a floating point number, meaning that it's not a whole number. It has, 0.0 something. Okay. And let's say we want to just create a report, write a report that 6 divided by 802 gives you something. So I'm going to say the result of dividing, oh no, sorry, the result of dividing, and I'm going to leave a curly bracket here, by curly bracket here is, again, curly bracket, all right? So that's my string, right? That is my string. If I just press enter, that's the string we have. Now we're going to call that format function. Let's become a bit cool, yeah? Let's play this a bit cool. So instead of saying num equals 6 divided by 802, okay, how about this? If we actually go by saying alpha equals 6, okay? Beta equals 802. Gamma equals 600, maybe, or let's just leave it 2, yeah? All right, and we're going to just get rid of that, all right? So alpha is 6, beta is 802, gamma is that. Let's just do that. And we're going to say num. Num at the moment is saved in the memory as the, although I've removed it, it's saved in the memory as the output of the previous operation we did. Now I'm going to reassign it. Num equals alpha divided by beta. Okay, so that's num for me now. Okay, and here I'm going to now call the dot format function. Okay, so num equals alpha divided by beta. And I'm going to say dot format. Okay, and now in the dot format, I'm going to say the result of dividing alpha by beta gives num. Okay, now to make it a little bit more cool, how about this? I can even do alpha by beta. Okay, the same thing is coming out. So just grasp and see what's happening. I'm trying to sort of, because I felt like maybe that's a bit boring, and you need to see what I mean that in future when you do mathematics and calculations, why this starts to become important. So I'll try to give a bit of a hint into this, all right? But let's just leave it to num at the moment to make it simple, because num is, we have defined it to be alpha divided by beta. Okay, now maybe you don't like to have this massive number of digits out there. Okay, shall we do, yeah, I'm just going to repeat this. And I'm going to here, okay, I'm going to do something here. Please don't mistake this with that indexing we did before, yeah? I'm going to say 1.3, all right? What I'd like you to do, yeah, what in fact I'd like you to do is to try to figure this out for yourself. So I won't explain because I know it's really simple, yeah? I'm going to repeat this as well. So later on, when you go to see, like when you watch the video, try to play about with this. Okay? So look what I've done. I changed 3 to 1. Let's see what do we get. Okay? What if I repeat this and make this, how about 5? Okay? What I'd like you to do is later on tonight or whatever in the weekend that you come and review this video, try to figure this out yourself. Yeah, this would be used when you try to do this form of operations and you don't want your number, to be sort of impacted. How do you say? You don't want it. Let me just. Sorry, my kid just walked into the room. Let me lead him away. Okay, distracted me. I do apologize. Okay, so when you don't want, like a big number reported, you don't need the precision and you just want certain figures. That's what this is involved with, yeah? So I'll leave it for you to explore. I don't want to spend too much time on it, all right? And I'm now going to go to the second type of printing, okay? The second type of printing. And in fact, before I do that, guys, have you noticed something? When I did this, I didn't use a print, did I? And look at the output. So although I have put all of this and I've called the dot format function on it, the output, yeah, so did you notice the type of the output, right? And think about this. The output was a string. What if I was to repeat exactly the same thing and I say, this time I'm going to call a print function on it, okay? Remember, when you call the print function, it now becomes a bare just report right in here for your information, okay? Whereas the output of that was an actual string when we run it like that. Again, these are things that later on make sense, but appreciate the difference. When I use the print, what was the output? When I didn't use the print, all right? Now, the second type of printing is called the f-string method, okay? The f-string method, again, you may become more comfortable with this. Yeah, so let's use this example and compare the dot format with f-string, okay, so that you sort of understand the difference. So I'm going to say name is Ali, okay, and I'm going to say my job equals, I'm going to assign job to scientist, okay, all right, so name is Ali and John, not John, job, sorry. Okay, so if I wanted to now print a statement that my name is something and my job is what, yeah, let's do it with the f-string, and the dot format. First, we go with the dot format. So I'm going to say print, okay, my name is space, say curly brackets, and my job is curly bracket. What do I do right after that? So this is a string. I'm going to call the dot format. And in the dot format, I'll give the arguments name and job. Okay. And if I run that, name went to the first curly bracket, job goes into the second one. So we already covered this with dot format. So how is f string different? Okay. Print here. The difference is this. We are doing the print function, okay? So instead of putting the string, the name, it's intuitively is quite simple. F string. all you need to do, you just put a F. What do you do after the F? You start your string, the same string that you were going to basically use, yeah? So I'm going to say, my name is, okay, bracket, and my job is curly bracket. Let's just run it without putting anything in there. What do I get? Empty expression not allowed. Okay, syntax error. It means you did this, but you didn't give any inputs into this, because when you run the F string, it expects you to fill something here. You need to put something in those. So while with the dot format, we left them empty, and we got the dot format function to come and fill them in order. The F string does it, but you need to give what you want to be filled in there. So if I repeat this exactly, do you notice, guys, that I'm leaving the errors? And unlike you guys, when you practice even on your own and you get an error, don't get rid of it. Yeah, especially when you're at the early stages. Don't get rid of it. Let the error be there and then write the correct one underneath. Yeah. So I'm going to say name here, and I'm going to put job there. Okay. Now it does exactly the same thing as the dot format. So definitely this is another thing that I'd like you to try. Now, whether you like to go with the dot format or F string in future is your choice. Yeah. But know that these two exist and try to definitely understand how they operate. Yeah. Because this becomes important when you want to, for example, you want to plot a graph and you want to create a title for your plot. You know, like a plot, like a XY plot or a 3D plot, whatever. This is when you will be sort of using F string or dot format to fill the relevant values in there. But that's too advanced for today's argument. I just want you to become familiar with these techniques for the moment. All right. Py format, that's fine. You can look into that later. So let's look at lists, guys, because these are very, very important stuff, yeah? Lists and tuples and dictionaries are the data types in Python that, as a data scientist, as a AI scientist, as a programmer, you will be using, and these will become your everyday data types that you will be working. So it's very important that you have a very sound and good understanding of what they are. So lists are ordered sequences that can hold a variety of object types, okay? The objects are within a bracket and separated by commas, okay? So in other words, it means that you create a list by assigning a bracket and filling it with the stuff which are separated by commas. Let's make a list, okay? So let's make a list now. And I'm just gonna do that, right? So shall we go and create our list? We're gonna first create a list of number. Let's say my list, or list, whatever. My list equals 1, 2, 3, 4. I just created a list of numbers, okay? But what you put in your list is what you put in your list, or what can go into a list, is quite, you can have a variety of stuff going there. You can have lists going within a list. You can have tuples or strings or numbers or list of lists, or like it can expand to anything. So in other words, you can put anything you want in a list. So if I put my other list, yeah, equals 1, 2, 3, and I'm going to put string hi, and I'm going to put I'm going to put the first list into it as well. How about that? Yeah. And do you remember we created that BALF bank, sort of text? Let's put that into it as well. You remember it was called C, I think, in my code. So now if I call my other list, you see? So this list is now composed of a lot of items in there, okay? So in terms of what you can put in a list, you can put as many types of data in there. You can put lists of lists of lists in there. You can put tuples, you can put dictionaries. I know we haven't covered dictionaries yet, but we will get to it. I'm hoping to do it all today. So yeah, you can have a variety of data types or objects within a list. What's important now for you to become familiar and learn how to pick out objects and choose these objects from a list, pick them out, or slice a list. The same method that we used for slicing the strings, yeah, you can actually use that. But usually with lists, you go with indexing or selecting something out of it, all right? And we're going to now explore that. So you remember we said in Python, the world starts from 0 when you try to count, okay? So if I come and say, what is the first item in my list? Let's see how many items are in this list. So we got position 0, 1, 2, 3. Maybe some of you think, okay, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then 9. Okay, but let's take a look into it. So I'm going to say maybe let me just change this name to something more simple. So I'm going to just call this K. Okay, so I'm reassigning it to K. So if I call K, K is just going to give me that. All right. Now, what is at K position 0? It's going to be number 1. Okay. What is in K position 1? It should give me number 2. Position 0, 1, 2, 3. Position 3 should give me the text high. Well, string high. It does. How about 4? Let's take a look. At position 4, we have a whole list. You remember? We added a whole list. You see, my first list was 1, 2, 3, 4. So to our K list, basically, there is an item at this position, which is the entire list, which was associated with my list, basically, because we put it there. All right. And at position 5, it's going to be, let me just leave this here. At position 6, it's going to be, oh, out of range. But K had that, didn't it? 0, 1, 2, 3. What K? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Ah, okay. That's fine. Oh, I think it's okay now. So K5 is Balfbank. Okay, no, that's fine. So if I put 4 just here, okay. So I hope this makes a sense, basically. So this is position 4, this is position 5, yeah? Again, this is something that I really, really want you to practice. I will actually send you exercise sort of sheet. It's going to have some questions. I gave it to my own class students last week, and I will share it with you today, although you would learn more stuff than what was covered in that class. But definitely, please, right from the beginning, try to become really good and familiar with this. It's so, I mean, I can't emphasize more on how important it is that at this stage, you become really familiar with this stuff. If later on, as we move on with the course, and let's say I'm teaching you support vector machines, which are machine learning sort of regression or classification models, yeah? You might decide, like let's say you're an electronic engineer, you're a psychologist or something, you might decide that, you know what, I don't think support vectors are for me. I'm going to not spend so much time on it. That's fine, okay? Because maybe you think decision tree models work better for you, right? I'm okay with you deciding to not to put energy into learning that particular model. But the stuff, the simple stuff that we are covering now, if you don't grasp these simple things, later on you will face a lot of difficulty. So these simple things compile and combine together that make the, you know, the backbone of your understanding of Python. So although they seem really simple at the moment, try to practice and become really familiar and happy with how this indexing works. Now, imagine we want to pick number 2 from this list. Okay, so I'm going to say, so we know K4, so K4, again, I'm going to write it. So K4 was giving us this list. How do I pick number 2 out of it? Well, if I do another bracket, so K4 is this, okay? K4 is this list. Let's see the position of these numbers within this list. So 1 is at position 0, 2 is at position 1, 3 is at position 2, and 4 is position 3. So if I put position 1, okay? So in other words, K4, which is this whole list, if I say 1, it's going to pick out 2. So let's see. And indeed, it picks number 2 out, yeah? And if I want to pick out, let's say, B from this south bank here, how do I go by doing that? So I'm going to say K, and where was Bauf bank basically? It was in position 5 itself. So the whole thing, the whole string is at position 5, and I'm going to pick this B, the second B basically, all right? So where is it in there? Let's count it. So Bauf bank, let's just call K5 first, okay? I think that makes it easier. So then I'm going to say K5, then I'm going to start a new bracket, okay? And I'm going to say 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's going to be 6. So if I put 6 here and I run it, it should return B to me. And it does indeed, okay? Definitely practice with this, okay? And make sure you have a very good grasp and understanding of it. You need to fully sort of understand what's going on here. Now, I have this list 4 here created by adding 2 lists together. You can indeed do that. So we had K, all right? So we had K, okay? And we had my list as well, I think. Okay. So if I put K plus my list, you realize what happened? So that was my K list basically. So it was these numbers, then hide, then it was a list, then it was a string. And I added another list to my list. And you can see, yeah, that K being the first one is now topped, is now has its the my list added to its end. What if I was to do my list? That might not be a good example because it's a 1, 2, 3, 4, but it's okay, I guess. Yeah, it might confuse you a bit, but it makes you think more, possibly. All right. So look at that. 1, 2, 3, 4. This time I used it first. So when you try to add 2 lists together, and the term is called concatenation. Concatenation means when you are combining 2 lists or 2 objects together. It's called the process of concatenation. We are concatenating at the moment, yeah? The order is important. So I'm going to put here, did you notice when concatenating lists, the order by which you do it is important, okay? And that's the message that we get from this. All right, how much time we have? We have half an hour roughly left. And all right, so let's see. Yeah, let's try this one. I like that. Let's say we're going to create another list. And this is, unlike strings, we can easily change the items in the list. Do you remember with the strings, we couldn't change the items. So once we had a string South Bank, you couldn't just go and change the B to S. You had to reassign it to a different variable and then go and sort of recreate it. Whereas with lists, you can directly do that. So if I say list1 equals 1, 2, 3, 4, okay, so that's list1, I can easily change one of these numbers if I wish to. And how do I do it? Let's say I want to change this number 1 with the string LSPU, as you can see in the slide. So I'm going to say list1, okay? but wait, list one, where do you want to change it? Where am I intending to change it? You need to give that index at position 0, meaning the number 1. I'm going to reassign it to LSPU. Okay, that's done. So let's call list 1 again. And indeed, you can see that the list, when it was originally created, it was 1, 2, 3, 4. But by using this index, I reassigned it and I changed 1 to LSPU. Okay, so lists are mutable. It means you can change them. Now, is it a good or a bad thing? Well, it depends on your application. But at the same time, you need to be careful, because if you make a mistake in your code, you can suddenly change your list. Okay? But anyway, you can do that if you want to. Let me see, what do we cover in this slide? Oh yeah, couple of functions. Now let's look at some function. Let's look at some functions that can be applied on lists. Of course, there are many functions that you can apply, but we are looking at the primary, most important ones. Yeah. So list one, what was it? It was LSBU 234. Okay. Let's say we want to say LSBU 234 hello. Yeah. We want to add the string hello to this. Yeah. So the way to do it is that you call list one. Okay. List one. Fine. And then we are going to call the .append function on it. By calling the .append function, I mean you apply the function to it. So .append. Okay. So the .append itself comes in, with the parentheses, but append it with what? Let me just run it like that. Look at the error. Why did I get an error? List.append takes exactly one argument, 0 was given. It means when you apply the .append, you need to actually give a parameter within that function for it to use it. If you don't give it to it, it would generate an error to you. Okay? So I'm not going to delete the error. I'm going to leave it there, and I'm going to go down. So the message was that when you use the .append, you need to have an argument in there. So I'm going to say list one.append, and we're going to say, what do we want to put in there? Hello. Okay. Okay, so now let's see list one. Indeed, now hello is added to, so list one is updated. So using the append function or method, you can add the stuff to the end of your list, basically. Okay. Let me see, we are running a bit short because I want to cover dictionaries with you. All right, now there is another method called pop. Okay, let's see what does that do. So the pop method, what if I'm gonna say, what if we want to get rid of an item from the list? Well, the answer is we use the .pop method. And guys, through my experience, I've noticed that when you're new to this, a lot of times you would use .append or .pop. Well, .append because you have to put something, you remember the parentheses. But with .pop, sometimes people sort of forget, yeah? So list one .pop, okay? Let's see what happens. So we know list one is LSPU 234 hello, right? What if I do that? We actually get a hello output. Can we look at list one again? So it affected it permanently. So the .pop method, when you apply it on a list, it takes out the last item, okay? It takes out the last item and gets rid of it, basically. And it's gone. Once you apply it, it's gone, and your list one is now completely changed. What if you want to pop it, okay? What if you want to pop it and you want to keep that value. So let's say we didn't want hello because it was irrelevant and we just wanted to get rid of it. But we want to take number 4 out as well from the list, except that we want to keep it and store it as something. So if I say list1 dot pop, okay, if I do this, it's going to take number 4 out. But what I'm going to do, I'm going to call it, let's call it lucky number. I don't know why, but just let's call it lucky number. So we're going to allocate number 4 to lucky number. It's going to be called lucky number, but it's no longer going to be two in list 1. So if I do that, so lucky number is 4 now. So we have kept it, we have preserved it, but under different name. Okay, it's lucky number now. And our list 1 no longer has number 4. For we literally separated it. Please, please, please pay careful attention to what I did here. There was one way of just doing a pop, okay, where I popped hello out of it and it was gone basically. And there is another method of reassigning what I'm popping, okay, into a different identity and changing my list. So when you go to look at the video and you want to sort of practice with this, definitely practice with this stuff until you become really comfortable. All right. Dot sort. Yeah, it's one of those functions that will come very handy for you. So let's create exactly these slides here. So I'm going to say list A. Okay, that's my list A equals, I'm going to say A, B, no, sorry, B, C, actually, no, let's put H. So this is unordered now, yeah? And then K maybe, and then A, B, C, D. Let's put D, okay? So I just created a list A, which is A, B, H, K, D, all right? And I'm going to, so how many are there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's now pick, I don't know, maybe 4 or 5 numbers as well. So we're going to create a list B, which is going to be a set of numbers. Let's just follow that. So it's going to be 5, 3, 8, and 2. Okay. So we got these two lists. Okay. Now let's say for whatever purpose, okay, we need to, in this case, organize these in alphabetical or numerical order. Okay. Again, we use the dot sort function to sort the elements within a list. Okay. Whether it's numerical or alphabetical. Usually you would use it specifically for some particular occasions. It's not something that you use all the time, but if you need to, I'd like you to know that it's available to you. So if I say list A dot sort, that's it. I called, so the term is I called the dot sort function on my list A. What do I get? Well, dot sort. Can I call it again? So let's see, list A. A, B, D, H, K. So it permanently went and sorted my list A. Okay? So that sort function basically just goes and organizes your list based on numeric or alphabetical order. The same can go with list B. Once again, you may never use this or you may use it, but I just want you to know that it's available when you need it. So again, list B, okay? And 2, 3, 4, 5. So 2, 3, 5, 8. Again, he has ordered it. Let's just move on from this. And then there is a reverse, basically, reverse function, which would reverse everything you have there. So if I say list A, so list A was A, B, D, H, K. If you want to have it K, H, D, B, A, you would be like list A dot reverse. And now list A is basically reversed. Again, application-wise, maybe later we encounter it, but know that this exists and you can use it when it's needed. All right. Let me just see what's next. All right, dictionaries. Yeah, I want to close today's lecture with dictionaries, basically, knowing that you have an idea of what they are. So dictionaries, they are unordered mappings for storing objects, and they use a key value pair method. All right. What does all that mean? So as the name comes to conventional dictionaries, it follows the same pattern. Just like in the old dictionary, you had this book, you had like this, kept sort of A embedded in the first page or something. And once you open the page starting with A, all the words in English starting with A are there with their meanings. If you want to look at it into that context, that word A is the key, and all the words starting with A in that following page, in those following pages, are the values associated with that key, which is A. Okay? Hence why we use the term key value pairs. Okay? So let's make a very basic dictionary. So I'm going to say dictionary 1 equals, and I'm going to, you don't have to use the word key. In fact, just to make things, well, let's use key here. And then I use column, curly bracket, 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay? I just created a dictionary here. Could I make a dictionary? How about dictionary 2 equals? You start with the curly bracket, and instead of key, I'm gonna put A actually. Yeah. And I'm going to put 1, 2, well, let's just leave different numbers. I don't know, 4, 2, 3. Let's do that. Okay. So what you assign to be a key doesn't necessarily need to be called a key, just to make that emphasis. Yeah. So this, I'll make a joke usually about this. As you can technically call this Mickey Mouse if you want. Yeah. If you want to. So what you call a key is up to you. Okay. But usually it's referred to as a key, and what follows it are the associated values with it. So this is a key, which is in this case key value pair. Now remember, guys, the value is not a single number here. By value, we are referring to all the values here. So let that be highlight, sort of, elaborated. Let me put a list here, in fact. Okay. Now I embedded a list in there. Would this work? Unhashable type. Okay. So it's not working. Let me just, maybe I shouldn't go into this for the moment. All right, leave this, ignore what I did for the moment. Let's just go to the basics, yeah? So what I'm trying to say, when we say key value pairs, I'm trying to tell you that you have a key, and what follows, yeah, is all the values that are embedded in there. Those are the values associated. Now, in this case, let's go and make a tuple. All right. So we will. I should have really actually taught you tuples before this. I think that's what I need to do. It would be a better sort of approach, I think. Yeah. All right. Let me get rid of that. Let's just get rid of this as well. All right. So dict. Now, if I put dict 1, right. So that's my dictionary. That's the simplest form of dictionary you can have, yeah? And at this stage, I don't want you to go in more complicated. Try to sort of understand what this idea of key value pairs is all about, okay? So here I have a tuple, basically. Let's go and try to make it a bit more elaborated. But before that, yeah, you might be asking, okay, so we got a dictionary, a simple dictionary this is, and we have a single key value pair here. Okay, we have a single key value pair. We got a key and we have a tuple basically. How do we get the items associated with that particular key? The way you do it is that you use a bracket sign and you put your key here. So it's like as if in a conventional dictionary, I went and opened that first page on, that had this big A on it, and it brought in everything associated to that key. All right. Let me now let's go with this one. Yeah. So let's just expand it gradually. So I'm going to say dictionary2 equals key. Let's call it key1. Okay. And key1, I'm going to put some tuple of 1, 2, 3, and I'm going to make a second key. In fact, I'm going to name it. Yeah, let's just stick to the original one. Then later on, we will be working more with dictionaries, and then we can expand on it further. And then I'm going to put A. I'm going to put B, and I'm going to just put C here. Okay, so that's dictionary 2. Okay. So what is let's look at the type. What do you get when you have a dictionary? So I'm going to say dict 2. So it just returns, so it tells you that it's of type dictionary. Okay. As you can see in this code here, I have dictionary 2, I have the key value, and then I have that bracket system. Do you remember we just used the bracket system when we had a list of lists? So we had one list that had a list in a certain position, and we wanted one of the elements within that internal list. We used 2 brackets. Now with dictionaries you do that, except that for the first position you use the key. Okay? So if I want to, let's say, pick out A here. Okay. What I would do is that I would be like dictionary 2, okay, dictionary 2, and I put a bracket. Once I put the bracket, okay, I want position A. It's associated with key 2. So I would be like key 2, okay, fine. Let's first call this. So if I call that, I got this tuple basically. Well, here I put a list, but this is a tuple, but I haven't covered tuples with you yet. Anyway. All right. So now that I've done that, it's returning the whole thing to me, but I'm just after A. Okay, so I'm just after A. So in reality, what I should be doing, where is A? Position 0. Okay, so if I put bracket position 0, it then goes and from here, which is basically there, picks out A, which is located in position 0, and brings it for me. So when it comes to indexing with dictionaries, you need to first use at this stage I want you to learn, yeah, but later on we expand on it. But at this stage, just learn that you use that key to sort of pick out the key value pair that you want to go and pick up items from. All right. All right. I'm going to skip these and just move toward. Let me see if there's anything important here, but that's okay. This is actually all right. Let's do this as well. So how about if we want to introduce a new key to an existing dictionary? Okay. How do we do that? I mean, do you remember we wanted to add something to a list? We did it dot append basically, yeah. What if we want to add a new key, sort of, a key and value pair basically to it. Okay. The way to do it, so we have dictionary one. It has two keys at the moment. So if I say dictionary two, okay, of course we don't do dot append. That is something that we were doing with lists. Yeah. If we say dict2 and we want to actually call a third key Mickey Mouse. Okay. So we're going to create a third key. We're going to call it Mickey Mouse. And what is this Mickey Mouse going to contain? Let's say it's going to contain a tuple of numbers. We're going to keep it simple. Yeah, just a tuple of numbers. Would that work? Okay. Well, before we called dict2 and we knew what it would give us, so let's just call it. So dictionary 2. There you go. So you got 3 key value pairs. Your first key is called key 1. Your second key is called key 2, associated with ABC tuple. And you got this third key, which for humor or whatever, or most important to just explain to you that you can choose anything you want as a key name. We have a third key called Mickey Mouse associated with numbers 1 and 2, basically. All right. So with dictionaries for the moment, I want you to become fully comfortable with what we covered so far. Yeah. And again, the exercises I will send you would try to cover all of this. Now, quickly, I think I'd like you to. I don't think I can cover tuples because mainly we're running out of time. I'm also becoming tired. I think you guys might become tired too. All right, let's just use a couple of functions that we can. So finally, for this week, let's look at some functions that can be applied to dictionaries. Again, there are many functions available. We are just looking at something. Most importantly, I'm doing this so that you know that there are functions you can apply to these data types. So keys, yeah. This time, so dict 2 dot. The function is called keys. Okay, so before I was like in this name, just for sake of not getting confused, I said you can put any name here, and we used Mickey Mouse as well. But this is actually dot keys is a function. You need to put dot keys, parentheses, yeah? You can't put dot Mickey Mouse, okay? So that doesn't work. Definitely you get an error, all right? So dot keys, the dot keys is the actual function. So if you do that, it generates the keys you have within this dictionary, okay? And if you do items, dict 2 dot items, this would return the key value pairs. So this actually returns the key value pairs. Okay. So here you see what basically items are there. And shall we do something? Let me just, okay. Dictionary items, basically. All right. So dot items would return the key value pairs that are embedded within that dictionary. Okay. Tuples. Let me just do this quickly and then I'll let you go. Okay. Let's just so that you have some. So tuples. Finally, promise. Finally, tuples. Okay. And what are tuples? They're very, very similar to lists, extremely similar, except that they are not mutable like lists. Like with lists, we could add something to them and then pop something out of them. Tuples behave very similar to lists, but they are immutable. So meaning that you cannot change them. So you can see, let me just make this large. I'm not going to code now. We will start next week with this. So don't worry about it, but so that you have some idea. So I have created a tuple. Now create a tuple plus my tuple equals. Technically I can put, okay, you notice I didn't even put parentheses, yeah? And if I say type my tuple, okay, it would say it's a tuple. But although this is correct, I encourage you to actually tell yourself that no, actually, when I want to create a tuple, I'm going to use parentheses, yeah? So please do that, yeah? But know that it's the same way, except that it's better practice at the moment to use the parentheses. So I've created a list and a tuple. Now the bottom one, my list is a list, and my tuple is the top one. So you see with indexing, it's the same thing, okay? With when you call it index, which gives out the position of elements, it works out the same. When you do a count of elements, dot count function, okay, it works the same. So I'm trying to elaborate on the similarities. The only difference is that my list was 1, 2, 3, 4. I wanted to add an atom basically to it, yeah? Or well, not add it actually, like change the first position 0 to atom, and I could do it. But as if I try to do the same thing with tuples, I cannot because tuples are immutable. All right, I think that's enough for this week. I will send you some exercises, and with the exercises, I will send you the solutions as well. Please try to do the exercises without looking at the solutions. And at the end, if you only struggle, then look at the solution and then try to do it again yourself. And if you have any trouble during the week, just drop me an email. Okay, guys? Yeah, that's about it. So I'm going to see you next week, I guess. Do you have any questions or shall we call it the night? Yeah. Yeah, I will try. Yeah, I'll try to put it in the VLE, but also will try to, group email you as well. So you will get it via the email as well. No props. Not bad. Sorry? The Teams does it. Sorry, Microsoft Teams does it automatically. So it records when you enter and when you go out, and it logs it out. So it creates a report. Don't worry about that. As long as you log in. If you started too late, what do you mean? No, that's fine. I've actually talked to Ben. I'm going to count it from this week because a lot of people joined this week. So this week is going to be the first week. Yeah, in our counting. No problem. Yeah, everything is going to be on VLE. Don't worry. The video and this code as well that we did as well. Okay. All right, guys, I'm going to shoot off now. I'm hungry and knackered. But if you have anything, drop me an email if you have any issues. Otherwise, have a lovely evening, guys. Take care.